IELTS is that we can have it not only evaluate our writing, and we have many different topics, right? And the list of the topics and the tests that you can take and get automated feedback on are here. There's too many for me to show. And we have now speaking evaluation. I'll just record myself and say, I live in Canada. Okay, so I have the recording and here it is. I live in Canada. And I can click evaluate. And it gives me interact, largely because they're concerned that they don't have enough vocabulary. So one thing that I recommend is, as you're reading, circle unfamiliar words or words that you're not clear on all the meanings and the precise meaning of those words. Add it to a glossary, print out those cards, and start actively developing your vocabulary. English is a huge language with many words to learn, and I would recommend you focus on that.
So any more questions?
Sir?
Yeah, ma'am.
Hey, sir.
Mangarani, ma'am. Okay, please go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, sir. Really, this is a wonderful session. It's very useful to our students and teachers also. I have a small question, sir. Is there any limit to word count, sir, while entering the text?
Yes. So yes, there's a limit. I think we have the limit currently at 3,000 words. So if you have a text that's longer than 3,000 words, I recommend that you copy and paste just 3,000 words at a time. The reason for the limit is because if some people take their master's thesis, their PhD project, and they run it through the system, and then the system is only able to respond to that one person for a very long time, and it slows the system down. So we want it to be available to as many people as possible. So we put a limit. But this is,
sir, and one more.
This is only 3,000 at a time, right? I mean, you can put in more and more over and over again. No, not a limit per day or per week. That's unlimited.
One more question, sir. While we enter after entering the text, it's showing the mistakes in red color.
Yes.
Is there the auto correction feature, sir? Or
No.
we have to correct? No.
No auto correction. And this
The
is
children
important.
has to correct. Okay.
Yeah. The student has to correct. And this is important. This website is developed to help students learn, not to replace learning, where a robot does all the learning and the student learns nothing. The idea is to help the student find the error and then make the change. So, and if you'll notice, it doesn't show you the error in your text. You actually have to search for it. So this is important because if you cannot remember the correction for 2 or 3 seconds it takes you to go back and make the change, then how can you remember it for the rest of your life? If all you have to do is see the red color and then just click it and then it changes, then how can you remember that? That doesn't help you remember. We need to make sure that students are thinking about their errors, thinking about the corrections, and trying to remember them, even if it's just for a few seconds.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So
You're welcome.
Yeah, Lilith, are you there? Lilith from Armenia. Okay, it looks like she's not responding. Yeah,
No. I'm here. Hurry.
Yeah, please go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead, Lilith. So Nicholas, actually, she is my fellow participant of Fulbright. We both actually.
Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, Lilith. We have a large Armenian community here in Montreal. There are many
really?
Armenians.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes, we have churches and we have schools with the Armenian language on the side. especially in my area of the city. There are a lot of Armenians here, a lot.
Oh, wonderful. It's great. So I guess you have lots of Armenian friends there.
I have friends, yeah, I do have friends who speak
Nice
Armenian.
to hear that. Nice to hear that.
Yeah. Lilith, do you have any question? Specific question?
Okay. I would like to just, not a question, but I would like to ask for advice, because sometimes there are some people who want to learn language very dynamically and quickly, and they are grown up and they come and turn to me for language learning, and they just ask, can we learn speaking, only speaking, for a very short time?
Yeah.
And I always have this problem because I don't know where to begin from and what to give them and how to be useful for a very short time without any grammar, without any writing, just for speaking skills. Yes.
Yes,
So
I know exactly.
I would like to ask you if there is a useful textbook, maybe, or maybe online resources to help such kind of people. What can you advise me, please?
It's such a big question, and I hesitate to try to answer, because like you, I have those people. Can you fix all my problems quickly? Where shall we begin? Where shall we begin?
Yeah.
So I guess the first question is, how do you intend to use the language? And if they say something like speaking, all right, well, that's one of the skills, but that's not really the answer, is it? Because we want to know, how will you use it? Where will you go? Who will you speak to? What will you speak about? Once we have some details about how they plan to use the language, then we can begin to plan lessons to help them, through perhaps dialogue practice, or perhaps by getting them to read about topics that interest them and then talk about them. If we don't even know what to talk about and there's no information coming in, then what can we produce, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's I'm sorry, I wish I could give you a simple answer.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Maybe a textbook. Do you know any kind of textbook that is useful for a very short time to master the language?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think, the best choice is to go to one of the big publishers like Oxford, Cambridge, and have a look at their conversational textbooks that they have. There must be a series. When I was in South Korea, we trained students from very low levels, conversational English, and we used like interchange and avenues and
I will try to remember it. Yes.
Interchange. It's one of the. It's written by a man named Jack C. Richards, who was very important in the development of the communicative language teaching approach. Jack C. Richards.
Okay.
And he wrote the new interchange series. That worked.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to write it down to remember, to keep in mind. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, any more participants? Jagadish, are you there?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Jagdish. I am studying 7th grade at ZPHS Hyderabad. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. My future ambition is to become an English teacher. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course. Please go ahead.
Could you please list out the books that you published?
Yeah, sure. So I've published a series of books called the Actively Engaged series. And the books are Actively Engaged Together for beginners, Actively Engaged on the job.
Mind answering to the question that one of my students asked just now?
Yeah, so he asked about the names of my books,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm happy to explain. I guess you're not able to enable sharing if your mouse isn't working, so I'll just put it into the chat.
Yeah, you just explain, that's it. Okay.
Yes, so it's called the Actively Engaged series. There are a number of different books. There's Actively Engaged Together, Actively Engaged on the Job, Actively Engaged at College, Actively Engaged in Persuasion, which is argument writing. Actively engaged online, which is about writing blogs and creating digital text. And then, let me see, actively engaged in business from my business students. Have I forgotten one? I can't remember all the books. Anyway, there are at least 5 of them. And I create them for my students based on their level and their needs. So if they're in business or if they're in advanced level, I make different textbooks for those students.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Shruti, are you there?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please. Shruti, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Firstly, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And it's my pleasure to introduce myself. This is Shruti, a 7th grade student at ZPHS Ailavaram. May I pose you a question?
Of course you may, yeah.
How different and how effective your software for detecting errors compared to other software?
Yeah. All right. So there are other kinds of grammar checkers, right? There are. So I'll list a couple. One is a software called Grammarly, quite famous, and they do a lot of advertising on the web. And the other one is the grammar checker that's part of Google Documents. Google has its own grammar checker. Now, the big difference with my software is that I look at the errors created not by doing a machine learning technique where we compare large amounts of text with the books that authors have written and make a comparison and try to identify the errors based on statistical probabilities. Instead, I manually go through my students' writing. I find the types of errors that they make, and then I write a message explaining what the problem is and how to fix it. So with my software, I'm explaining in more detail and more focused on the student's intention rather than a statistical process where it just suggests an alternative. So I would say we believe that feedback for it to be effective, that is correction for it to be effective, helpful, it should be explicit. It should explain to you why you have an error and how you can fix it, and not just give you the correction, but explain why. And so that, I think, is the advantage of my software. Also, it's free.
Okay, thank you. So any more questions? Yeah, Nandini, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. It's my pleasure to introduce myself. This is Nandini, a 7th grader. Would you allow me to ask a question?
Yes, of course, it'd be my pleasure.
What kind of tips that you offer to improve my pronunciation skills?
Your pronunciation, all right. Okay, so I'm going to just tell you directly what I think about the Indian accent. First of all, you speak very quickly, I think, in your Indian language, in your native language. And so in order for you to be clearly understood by people who don't speak your language, the best tip is to slow down. Slow down and assume they're going to have trouble hearing all the syllables and the words that you say. So for instance, your name is Nandini, right? And I can see that on the screen. But when you said it very quickly, and it's the first time I've seen that name. I've never heard somebody say that name before. So it's important to anticipate that your listener is unfamiliar with your accent and with your name or the name of your school. So try to slow down and say, my name is Nandini, right? Something like that. And it'll help people. That's the first tip. The second tip is, I would say, use technology. There's a microphone on the virtual writing tutor. You can click on it and you can speak and see if it recognizes the words that you say. You can also see a microphone like this on Google Translate. You click on the microphone and you speak, and you see if the computer is able to understand the words that you say. If it doesn't, slow down, speak more clearly. If you want feedback to understand where the system doesn't understand your pronunciation, then I suggest on the virtual writing tutor, you go to the IELTS page. I'll send you the link right now. If I can, IELTS, there's a speaking page. You'll need to log in, and I'll send it to you in the chat. Everyone. Yes, and there are questions where that you can answer. You read the question, you type your answer, right? And then you speak your answer. And the system will compare what you say to what you've written. And it'll show you if you have pronunciation errors. It's very helpful if you want to learn to speak clearly so that everybody will understand you the first time.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. I hope that was helpful, Nandini.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. Yeah, it looks like,
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, finally,
Yes, please, sir.
sir, how can we engage our children and how can we help our children to participate actively in conversations, sir?
Yes.
As you said, that if you want to focus on speaking skills, the best thing is that we have to engage our children in participating conversations and doing all kind of dialogues. And how can we do that, sir? Please, most of the children are hesitating to participate in conversations, sir. Could you please suggest some techniques, sir?
Yes, absolutely. It's a very important question. My students have the same problem. They are generally 17, 18, 19-year-olds, and we ask them to engage in a conversation with the target structures we've written on the board behind us, and silence. Then hesitation, a little bit of speaking, and then they switch to their native language, right? So this is a problem worldwide. And the
Okay.
solution that I have found that works very, very well is simply this idea of the card game. Some teachers resist the idea of games in class. No, we don't do games. This is a serious educational institution. We don't play games. But games have a tremendous value, and I'll explain why. Let's say you write on a series of cards topics, just simple topics. And it could be a topic like hobbies, birthdays, boyfriends, girlfriends, money, jobs, weather, whatever. You can just make a list of topics, and you put one topic on each card. And you put those cards into a group of students, not two, usually three is the best number. And then you say, select a card, look at the topic, and talk for 1 minute. Now you can use timers, watches, cell phones to keep time. Maybe you have a clock in your classroom. You say you must speak for 1 minute without stopping on this topic. Oh, now it becomes a game, and there's like a goal to win the point. And it's amazing. It transforms a hesitancy to speak into like an excitement, an eagerness to speak. And so they try to talk. So let's say it's weather. Oh, today it is cloudy. Tomorrow it will rain. It's very hot outside. I don't like to be in the hot sun. I prefer to be under a tree in the shade. And they start to hesitate. Can't think of what to say. And the other two students say, speak. Actually, I tell them to say, talk. Talk. They get 2 warnings. And if they can't talk and they're still hesitating and they haven't spoken for a minute, then we say, die. There's laughter, and that person does not win the point, and the next person picks up a card and tries to speak about the topic, a random topic, for 1 minute without hesitating or repeating them. So that's an example of a simple card game that you can use in your classroom to promote speaking. It's display speaking, but it's speaking nonetheless, and uses the logic of the game and the excitement of the time pressure to get more interaction. I have many ideas that I can help you with in that.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful session. And language games play an important role, and we'll try to do that. And especially regarding that virtual writing tour, there are many, it's a good resource, sir. We have seen it.
Oh,
and especially
wonderful.
to improve the conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nick, thank you so much for your valuable time. I know that most of my students and my colleagues in my entire state, they have got benefited with your valuable session. So before I wind up the session, may I ask you to give a message to my teachers as well as my students regarding the English language. So any specific message to my teachers?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to just express my gratitude for coming and joining with me today. I'd like to give you one message, and that is your hard work and your willingness to innovate, try new things, and really observe your students and try to do your very best for them in the classroom. It gives me hope and inspiration to continue this difficult work. You know, as teachers, we could be doing other jobs. You know, we could pursue money and fame and other opportunities, but we've chosen this profession because we want to help people, and your dedication is an inspiration to all of us, and I'm very grateful for that. To your students, I'd like to say, don't give up. Your success in your education requires some effort. Sometimes school is a little boring. It's a little difficult at times. Don't give up. It gets better, it gets easier, and it becomes more about what you want the higher you go through the educational system. At the lower levels, you have to cooperate with your teacher. But as you go up and you get your bachelor's, master's, and PhD, it'll be more about your specific interests, and it just gets better and better and better. So never give up. You can do it. Persistence is the key, and enjoy yourself, because education should be a sophisticated form of pleasure, right? It's a pleasure to know and to understand, to communicate. And so never give up and always try to enjoy your school.
Thank you so much, Nick, for your valuable time. I know that every minute, every second of your time is so valuable because you are so busy. And so we are so thankful to you for your valuable time. I am optimistic that in future, I will make one more session with some more teachers, and at least within my country. I'm trying to plan a session very soon. So I am optimistic. I hopeful that you will spare at least 40 minutes for my teachers. I hope that the next time the technology will not trouble me like what I experienced today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, please invite me. I would be very happy to join as a participant, as a speaker, or just as a quiet member. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you today. Thank you.
Definitely, because the kind of software and the books that you have created actually so valuable, and you deserve the recognition around the world, not just in India. So thank you so much, Nick, for your valuable time. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so
Don't give up.
much.
See you.